What's going on? It's your boy Cuban Mike. Listen to 102.9 Tape Deck. And tonight I got a special guest. I've been rocking with this young lady for the past 2 years now. As you know, one of the things I do on the show is bring a lot of awareness goes on with cool work since I'm a Cuban American. There's a lot of issues going on there. This girl has been in the trenches for like the last couple of years now. Um, she just been about it. When it comes to this, I could say she has more guts than the actual men out here. And I'm glad I was able to have her on the show. We've been trying to have her on for a while, but our conference be a mess. But she has something special going on, and we're here to talk about it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you, Yvette, at the show. What's going on, girl?
Nothing much. Thank you for having me.
Long overdue. You know, I've been having this effect with people, especially with the Cubans. And I remember one of the first things you said to me when we first met. She's like, I don't know what it is about you, but I feel though I met you for like a long time. It's been like forever now. So
Well, somehow, once you start connecting to people in like this world, right? You
yeah.
just become family in a way. You start connecting in a different way.
100%. I could say this, like, from Massachusetts, New York, Florida, Jersey, there has been even California, there's been like a deep bond going on, especially after July 11th. And I'm just glad I was able to like connect with a lot of people, with yourself and your crew that you have out there, man. I would like to say thanks. Even when I first went out there back in 2022, you put me on with a lot of people, and I was able to see a lot of things that goes on within Miami. So thank you for that.
No, no problem.
So Yvette, what's going on in your life? Tell me about yourself. Tell the people in the audience in Boston who you is, who you are, and what you be about.
You have enough time? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't.
Um,
That's why I got 15 minutes to get to it.
well, I'm just a regular person. I'm a mom. I have a regular job, and I have a passion for everything related to the freedom of Cuba, and also encouraging the arts, especially the resistance arts. And throughout this journey, I've just had different opportunities to be able to work on different projects, and it's been a blessing. And now I'm working on a project that's been a dream. It's actually been a dream come true to be able to work on this and make it come together, and it's been a lot of fun.
All right. Um, I never, I never asked you this question. Were you born in Cuba or were you born in Miami?
I was born in Miami. I was the first of my family to be born
Your
here.
first generation, just myself. All right. Were you able to go to Cuba anytime in your life? Were you able to visit to see the island?
I went once when I was like almost 15. I don't think I would go again now. I mean, for different reasons. But
Yeah.
I went once, and even at that age, I was able to see a lot of things and kind of recognize that there were things that were messed up. My dad gave me the whole talk. Hey, at that time, people didn't have cell phones, and you had to call, your family back on, that one house on the block or 5 blocks to be able to call back home. And I got the whole grill, hey, don't say
Mm,
anything bad about Castro on the phone, don't say anything negative
yeah.
about the country. I was like, why? And my dad was like, they listen to these phone calls. And I just really absorbed a lot of things. I had an experience when I was walking in Varadero at one point with a family member that was about my age, and we were gonna go see a show at the hotel. And immediately, as when we walked in, she was like, "They're not gonna let me in." I was like, "What do you mean? It's a hotel. Anybody can just walk in, you know?" And she was like, "No," and she wasn't wrong. Right at the door, they were like, "You can go in, me, but she can't." They were able to tell, how I was dressed or whatever, that I was from America and that she wasn't. And little things like that open up my eyes to things. My dad is also he's from Cardenas, which is where Elian Gonzalez is from. So I was
Hmm.
able to see firsthand how they painted his grandma's house, because that's who he ended up living with. And they made it was so staged. I mean, and seeing uh, like what we know is staged sometimes, right? But seeing it firsthand, I soaked a lot of that in on my trip. Hmm.
The reason I always ask people from like our generation, our age, if they ever gone to Cuba, because I'm one of the few that still haven't gone there after all these years. I came close and I was gonna go back in 2020, but COVID hit. So that just pretty much put a pause to everything. but it's bugged out because where I live at is predominantly Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I remember being a kid, like during the summertime, all my friends would like just leave and go to the islands to like see their grandmother or their cousins, and they wanted like their parents wanted them to get like that culture tourism. Then when you go to the islands, and I got stuck, and it wasn't until I got older I was in a weird spot because where I live at there's barely any Cubans, and then the fact that there's no Cubans around, I can't go to Cuba because of the issue that's going on with there. So I got stuck in a weird spot. So it's so bugged out. Like the older I get, I always feel like if this thing doesn't get fixed, I feel like I'm gonna like miss something because I miss that part of the culture and that part of the the island. And the closest thing I have from checking out that culture is being in Miami or even in Jersey.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And you just mentioned how you were able to go to certain places, but your family members could. Um,
Yeah, there
before
was
we
there were a lot of instances like that.
Yeah, so I want to tell my audience this because we know we talk about a lot what happens in America. Back in the day, what happened with segregation when certain black folks couldn't go to certain places, and people of color, like they had that in Cuba, but they do it to everybody. So Cubans can't go to certain parts of the country. They can't go to the tourist side. They can't go to the quote unquote privileged section of Cuba. And I believe it's still going on to this day, is it? Or they,
Yeah, you need, like, especially if you're part of the opposition, you won't be
yeah,
allowed to leave a certain radius, right? And if you want to go somewhere else, you almost need like a visa to be able to transfer from like one province to another province. And there's places you can't even visit, especially
yeah,
like the town that's close to the military base. You can't even
mm,
get close to there. You have to
yeah.
go through a whole process. So they have a lot of limitations that we really don't talk about, but that's just
and
regular
and
life for them.
and you have to be like really really connected if you even get a chance to go into certain places.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's a something. Boston, Massachusetts, my people need you to pay attention to what's going on over there. There's legit segregations going on to this day, 60 plus years later. But I don't want to drag that. I want to talk about you, my friend. Please tell people. One of the things that I do a lot when I go to my page, I plug jar. So they always want
Oh,
to know,
thank
like,
you.
yeah, let me tell you something. Between jar, Spanglish, and Grecia, I always tell y'all, I want either a coffee mug or a free bag of Skittles, a Mateva soda. I come cheap, you know what I'm saying? So for all the plugs I do for y'all, I don't even want any money. A Cuban flag, like the Cuban flag you have behind you, like I want something a little small. I don't have too much in life. But
Okay, I got you. I got you.
but can you tell my audience like jar? What's the jar movement about?
So JAR, it stands for Jóvenes de la Resistencia, the youth of the resistance. So basically, we are a part of the Assembly of the Cuban Resistance. It's an organization that's really a conglomerate of organizations. A lot of them are historical organizations in the exile community, and some of the organizations that are a part of the assembly, are in different countries as well. And it's hard to explain everything that we do because we do everything varying from protest to just connecting people to older generations and to educational resources when we can. And now we have a really fun project going on. It's called Fuego contra el Fuego, Arte de Conciencia. And in English, it's Fire Against Fire, Art of Conscience. And it's a 4-week series where we're doing an art exhibition of a resistance artist. His name is Alexei Camilo Merino Tellez. He's a Cuban artist, but he actually lives in Mexico and Merida. And all of his art is completely dedicated against the regime. It's kind of like a caricature type art, and it can be very explicit and a little dark at times, but it's very descriptive and to the point. So we had this opportunity to be able to give visibility to his artwork, and it's the first time that his work is being exhibited in Miami, and then from it was almost like magic. because then it became a festival of sorts. So it's a 4 week series where we're having this art exhibition. And then for 4 Fridays, we're having events where people can come to the art exhibit, but also have an experience to hear poetry from Pichi or Angel Pardo, who are both plantados. Pichi was an ex political prisoner who served 29 years and 10 months, and Angel Pardo served 24 years. And, it gives them an opportunity to sell their books to the public, to, be able to talk to the public in person, where they're real heroes. And then we
Yeah.
also have other artists in the community, young artists in the community, like Funky, Spanglish Generation, Kiel, Camancola, Raudel Esquadron, Legacy, Hyper on the Beat. I hope I didn't miss anyone. We had Omni come and perform, and Omni is just an old school performer, even from Cuba. He did resistance art. So it's been an amazing experience to be able to bring everyone together. The first 2 Fridays were like magical, and we have 2 more Fridays left. We're hoping to connect people in our community and just have like a social event where we can connect, but also use these events to educate people outside of our community, and come together and hopefully inspire people to keep on creating art.
That's what's up. You kind of answered my question, but I want to go back a little bit with the whole Fuego de Fuegos, right? I don't
Fuego
want to miss the
contra el
name.
fuego.
Fuego contra el Fuego. What inspired you to do this? Because I know this is not something you made up with yesterday. So what inspired you to get this thing together and realize, you know what, I want to express art and poetry and music to this whole thing?
Well, in one way or another, amongst all these things that we've done, I have been involved in using art, right, for the cause. Whether it was having the privilege of being able to, be a part of some of Athena's installations in New York when she created her art, or supporting other artists. And we have been working and are still working to try to get a space that was kind of given to us, but it needs to be remodeled. And we've been just wanting to have a space for resistance artists, whether they're Cuban or from other countries. But we wanted to be able to give them a space because we know it's already hard to be an artist, and when you're a resistance artist, it's even harder because a lot of spaces won't exhibit your work. A lot of people won't really promote like resistance rap, and we have a lot of talented artists out there that really all they need is space to be able to perform or exhibit, and that's kind of what we want to make happen.
Uh, On your first show, who were the artists you had? You had Funky, Peach. I don't
Pichi,
Peach,
Pichi.
yeah, Peach.
His full name is Ignacio Cuesta Valle.
Yeah, now that's snitch on him. Jeez, go by Peachy, and we don't tell Funky's real name. We got to go by the artist. I'm Cuban Mike. I'm not.
No, but
But no, you
Pichi's a
had
legend. People should know his
yeah.
name. Mhm.
Well, I live here. You know, we're not overcrowded. It is down there. Who's my man Peachy? Can you please tell my people who
All
Peachy is?
right. So Pichi, he's the plantado. I think he's one of the oldest man alive with the most years in prison as a political prisoner, 29 years and 10 months. So he read out of his book of poetry that he wrote while he was in prison in Cuba. And just the fact that a lot of people don't know is when he was in prison, he actually wrote other books as well, and they destroyed all of his books so that he wouldn't have it, and he was able to save his one book of poetry. Who coincidentally, Angel Pardo, who is the other plantado and the current president of a presidio político histórico in Miami, he actually helped him write his book of poetry in prison.
And of course you had to have Funky because I know it's humble brag, but you know you got Grammy Award winning rappers doing your stuff, so that's kind of like a cool thing to do out here. You gotta go.
It
That's
really
humble brag.
was cool. It really was cool, and I don't think people really have absorbed. I don't think people appreciate Funky for the artist that he is, just because he's always out there and
Yeah.
he really is willing to come out and perform and to support different causes, and people don't really value him how they should. But it's like how you said, he's a Grammy award winning artist, and he has a
Yeah.
lot of talent. And honestly, he killed it. He killed it that day. And Kiel jumped on a song with him also that they have a song together,
Yeah.
Un
The joint they
Dia,
have
with
together. Un
so
dia.
awesome. So they she performed that song with him too.
Dope.
It was
Dope.
dope.
Um, I try to bring a lot of, I mean, we both try to bring a lot of awareness when it comes to situation. I mean, you have more access over there because you're in Florida. I would assume it must be like really like emotionally overwhelming dealing with this cause, because not only you have to organize shows and protests, like you actually dealt with people that live in Cuba that have like, horrendous stories
Mhm.
involving Cuba, whether it's political prisoners or just like the living conditions, or, them just trying to like escape. Um, does that like how's that affecting your mental health as opposed to like doing all that other situation?
It's a lot, you know. It really is a lot, and sometimes you have to try to disconnect, and sometimes you have to put up some boundaries and limit yourself on what you can do, because you also have a personal life, you also have, kids, you also have other things, and you also have to take care of yourself. And it really is hard because it does take an emotional toll, all of the things that are happening in the background. But you take it one day at a time, and you just keep pushing forward, and that's all you could do.
Hmm. Outside of us, the community has been like outsiders like supporting the cause or try to be more understanding of what our plight is.
Absolutely. Like I've seen different journalists kind of reach out to us, from the American English speaking side. We've seen, just people just kind of have a curiosity in how it connects. And I think more and more, when people are seeing that our own country is kind of drifting a certain route, people are like, hey, maybe we need to listen to these people. Maybe we need to listen to these warnings, maybe we need to look at the patterns. Maybe they're not crazy, because a lot of people, they just think that all Cubans are crazy. And we are traumatized, we are legit traumatized, right?
Yeah.
Because this is something that we experienced, not even that long ago. It's our parents, it's our grandparents. We still have family there, we still have friends there, right? And it's still the country where we're from, even if we were born here, right? So there is a lot of trauma with Fidel Castro. There is a lot of trauma with Che Guevara. There is a lot of trauma with communism, right? It is triggering for us. Um, and there's just no way to get around it. And people should just kind of be more understanding of that.
Yeah, one of the things that I took from this whole cause is like, yo, you don't have to agree to what I am saying. Just try to have a one um an understanding of what applied is and why we act a certain way. Hell, have an understanding why we even vote the certain way that we do. Because I know Cubans get a lot of flack for voting the way that they do, and they think we're just trying to be elitist, but that's not it. That's just like a small spectrum of the story and why we move the way we move. So I
I
think it's
agree. And since we're gonna talk about like parties, I'll just say one thing: like the issue of Cuba, it really should be bipartisan, right? Human
yeah.
rights really should be bipartisan. Political prisoners, literally having shit and piss thrown at them, and having to force them to donate their blood, and forcing their family members to donate their blood, and all of the other lunacy that goes on in Cuba, it should be bipartisan. Yes, a lot of Cubans do tend to vote a certain way, but at the same time, that shouldn't make anyone hate us or hate our cause or like diminish, what we're talking about when it comes to Cuba.
Hmm. So we have a show coming up this Friday, my friend.
Yes, we do. We have a show this Friday. This Friday we have Angel Pardo. He was a little bit sick, so I'm glad that he's feeling better. We're
Yeah,
so lucky to still have some of these gentlemen alive to be able to see them in person and listen to them. To me, I think it's a privilege.
yeah,
And I hope people do come out. He's going to be reading some of his poetry from one of his books because he has many, and then people can buy them. And then we're going to have Spanglish Generation doing some poetry, and then we're going to have a young man that's called Hyper. I actually connected with him. He's actually a fan of Funky, and I saw one of his songs. He actually burned his Cuban passport in the music video. It's called Mi Conexión, and I was like, whoa, yeah, this kid. And also, I kind of want this space, and these events to also kind of give a platform for artists that are not that known but are talented and are
yeah.
contestatario. So, hopefully this will give him an opportunity for people to see him, people to see his music, um, and get him connected with us. And then
So,
Kiel, of course, Kiel is going to be closing out the show, and
all
Kia has
right.
a voice on
She,
her. A lot of people just see her as the activist or the girl that jumped the baseball stadium with the Cuban flag, but
there's a
she has,
GIF there. I got a GIF there. So
yeah,
she
she
made it.
has
She
a
made
lot
it.
of more levels to her, and
Huh.
she has an amazing voice, and she's an amazing artist. So
Yeah, she gets
that's
busy.
gonna
Shout out
be
to
good.
Kiao.
Hmm.
She another one. She did my radio last year. So yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to Funky that they did it together when they were promoting their joint. And shout out to you. 100 shout outs to you. I will give you 100 and more flowers if I could, but I don't have any. But next time I probably mail you like 101 flowers. They're like 101
I'm
Dalmatians.
gonna ask you for them.
But I got you. I got you. I want my Skittles. Just remember, I want my Skittles. So
Okay, Skittles.
Skittles, my soda, and a Cuban sandwich. So but yo, Yvette, thank you. You always have an open home in the take deck. Um, you gotta do my podcast sometime next month before the year ends because I do want to have an
Okay.
extended version of this. We did this today if we could promote your show you have this Friday. Again, you always have an open door. Thank you for you doing for the cause. And
No, you're welcome. And honestly, look, this event that we're doing in Miami, we want to continue doing it, and I really hope that this inspires other people to do it. I hope it inspires a group of artists in Boston to get together and do something. And all over the place. I really hope that people just get inspired to come out and have these spaces because
yeah.
it's really important to have these spaces.
100%. Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's your boy Cuban Mike Take That. Yvette, thank you again. So we'll catch you next time on this situation. Hopefully we'll be in better circumstances. Free Cuba, all that fun stuff, and we ain't gonna stop until the dictatorship falls. We'll be back, y'all, and stay tuned for the next PSA I got for y'all. Peace.
Bye.